New economic data today reveals that you won't get a second stimulus check if you don't follow exactly the advice that this channel has been reporting for over a week. Hey everybody, this is LALATE with a second stimulus check update today. This one's about SSDI, SSI, Social Security, railroad benefits, and veterans benefits. Big, shocking news revealed today, and it's clearly in line with what I have been reporting to you over the last week, that you will get a second stimulus check, but you won't get it if you don't follow the advice of this channel. What do I mean, and what is happening? First, let's get to the broad items. The amount of the check. The amount of the check currently on the table is three proposals. One is $1,200 as a single check. The next proposal is a single check more than $1,200 of an amount we still don't know. The third proposal is six $2,000 checks. Second, when would the check be approved by Congress? On or around August 8th. Third, when would you get the check? You would get the check in the earliest point late August, but could get it as late as somewhere in September. Now, let's get to the most shocking detail, which is coming out today. I had been telling you that while you may be eligible for a second stimulus check, you may not get it if you don't follow the advice of this channel. And today, new statements were revealed from both parties, multiple individuals, that suggest that the routing of the second stimulus check is so critical that a lot of you may not get it if you don't do anything. What am I talking about? Here we go. There's new data today that reveals that of the first stimulus check, there is close to $200 to $300 million that has not been sent to those viewers because the IRS simply didn't know where you were, or they simply had confusion about where you were located. This is really shocking news, that there's so many of you that qualify for the check that would have gotten it, but they're having problems finding you. What does this mean? Well, here we go. Here's another twist. The second stimulus check heated up overnight with new indication that the IRS's knowledge of where you are located will be so much more important than anything else. Why am I saying this? Here is the importance. Several statements from Mitch McConnell, Steve Mnuchin, all indicate that they want to narrow the recipients of the second stimulus check to those making $40,000 or less based upon 2019 IRS tax returns. You know what's important about that last sentence is the second half of the sentence. Based upon 2019 tax returns. The 2019 tax returns, as you know, are due in a couple of days. Well, if you don't file your 2019 tax return, how are they going to know how much you made? If you don't normally file tax returns, how are they going to know if you're eligible for the second stimulus check? If you file your IRS tax return, by the deadline of late July, and they're ready to route you a check in August, how are they going to know that you qualified for the second stimulus check? It's that level of complexity that this channel has really been trying to help you on. Let me go slower and let me go over the details. I'm going to go broad stroke first. There are some people who have dropped in the comments, and thank you for the growth of this channel, about 10,000 new subscribers every 48 hours. There's some people who have dropped in the comments, I don't care, just tell me how much the check is and when I'm going to receive it. Okay, I just told you how much the check is, $1,200 or $2,000 or multiple checks of $2,000. And when would you receive it? Maybe August or September. That doesn't do anything for you. I'm going to tell you right now, and sorry to sort of get firm with you, that doesn't do anything for you. Because today what we have from the federal government in all these statements is a suggestion that they're not going to send people the checks unless certain things have happened. Well, if they don't know that's happened for you, if they don't know where you are, you won't get a check. Overnight, I looked at a couple other channels that cover second stimulus checks, and they basically just read news reports and said, okay, Mitch said $40,000 or less, you're going to get a second stimulus check. Okay, this person said you're going to get a second stimulus check. That does nothing for viewers of my channel who are on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, and veteran benefits. You know why? Because what I'm trying to do for you is to ensure that you get the check, not that you're just eligible for the check. So what do you have to do? Well, at the moment, we don't really know specifically what you're required and have to do. We know what happened under the CARES Act in March. The first stimulus check required certain things to be teed up. If you didn't tee those things up, if you didn't do certain things, you were eligible for a first stimulus check, but didn't get it. Some of the viewers in the comments drop in the comments on a daily basis, I didn't get my first stimulus check. Doesn't mean that you weren't eligible for it. You might have been eligible for it, but you may not have done the next step. Here, I am here to help you ensure that you get the second stimulus check. So what do we know currently? We currently know that the IRS relies upon location information in getting you a second stimulus check based upon whether or not you were on benefits in 2019. If you were on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits in 2019, last year, great. That is really the best of all best scenarios. And most of my viewers of this channel, it's a best scenario. You know why it's best? Because they've been sending you payments since 2019 and they know where you are. So a second stimulus check would go to the manner in which you receive those benefit payments. So if you're receiving your benefit payments by direct deposit, a second stimulus check would come by direct deposit. If you receive them by paper check, you receive them by paper check. If you get them by debit card, they would come to your debit card. That is the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is viewers who are newly on benefits this year, just started benefits this year, and haven't filed a tax return. Boy, you know why that's bad. We all know why that's bad. If you just started benefits this year and you've not filed your 2019 tax return, the IRS may simply not know where you are. There's new data today that there is close to 12 million people that the IRS is still trying to send first stimulus checks to, amounting to $200, $300 million, and doesn't know where they are. Doesn't know where they are. Ultimately, I'm here to help you get that second stimulus check if you're eligible. What's really troubling, there's good news and there's bad news today. The good news is that everyone is now saying they're going to give you a second stimulus check. I mean, that can't be any better than it is. Everyone is saying you're going to get a second stimulus check. First good news. Second good news. Everyone's saying you're going to get the second stimulus check approved by members of Congress on or around August 7th or August 8th. I was the very first one to report that. I reported that to you about 4 weeks ago. I was the very first one to report. Someone would drop in the comments, how do you know that? How do you know that? Because that's the last day. Members of Congress are on that wonderful Tahitian vacation with their feet in the jacuzzi, sipping Mai Tais and listening to very bad music and singing off key. They're coming back from their vacation in late July to work for, 2 weeks, get a really nice pension, and go back on another Tahitian holiday because they haven't sung enough off key and sipped enough Mai Tais this month. And they're going to start that second vacation on or around August 9th. So they have to get the second stimulus package approved on or around August 8th. It's as simple as that. So that's the good news. Here's the bad news. I personally don't like, I personally am worried, is the correct adjective. I'm personally worried about Mitch McConnell and Steve Mnuchin now suggesting that this second stimulus check should only go to people making $40,000 or less based upon 2019 tax returns. Nothing could be worse than telling people that the second stimulus check being approved in August is based upon a tax return which you're required to file in 3 weeks before, 2 weeks before. It is crazy. It's crazy. You know why it's crazy? Because if you don't get that on file, you may not get a second stimulus check. If you get it on file by the deadline, the IRS may not have inputted the data by the time the second stimulus check is supposed to be routed to you to ensure that you are eligible. And then there's all my other viewers who aren't required to file a tax return because they don't make enough money. So what's going to happen with them? It's really, really troubling. What's troubling is that it's causing the second stimulus check to be tied to something that the IRS has to look up. Every time that we hear that the IRS has to look up something about you, I worry for you about getting a second stimulus check. Here is where we are on this IRS lookup scenario, which is just, I don't like it. I really don't like it. It worries me. It worries me greatly. It's not that I don't like that the check is being given to certain groups of people. I don't like the timing. It worries me that the IRS has to look up something about your economic activity in 2019 minutes before they're supposed to give you a check. Boy, where are we with this? So let me go over that with you. Mitch McConnell literally, in a passing comment, said, you know what, I would like the second stimulus check to only be given to people who made $40,000 or less last year. It was literally a passing comment. Some people have now said to me in the comments, where's that new law about $40,000? It's not a law. Where's that new bill about $40,000? It's not a bill. Mitch never even wrote it down. It's like he was going to get on his Tahitian holiday vacation plane. He's walking at the gate. He's like, oh, you know what? Let's give him checks if it's $40,000 or less. And suddenly everyone starts writing news articles about it as though it's a bill. It's not a bill. It's literally not a bill. Second, Steve Mnuchin did not say he agrees with $40,000 either. No one in the White House has said they agree with $40,000 either. So in fact, when questioned about it, Steve Mnuchin refused to comment. He said that he would not answer the question when asked by CNBC minutes ago, and says, we do support another round of a second stimulus checks, but we're not going to tell you the amount. We're not going to tell you the amount or what's the threshold. So this $40,000 cap is not even reduced to a bill. But what we do know is the following. There's two things to remember. How much stimulus and who would get the stimulus. Currently, how much stimulus, we know that the White House wants you to get more than $1,200. Second, as a single check. Second, we know that the HEROES Act, which is currently in the Senate from the House, wants to only give you a single $1,200 check, which is truly ridiculous. Third, we know that there's still a movement and still bills floating around for 6 $2,000 checks. That's that part. Second, we know that the bill will have to be approved by August 8th. Third, we now know that sending the check will be tied to certain information that the IRS knows about you, which is so important. Ultimately, the IRS knows information about you based upon Social Security or benefits that I've been discussing, or based upon filing of tax returns. It's the same situation on whether or not you have a dependent or you're a dependent. What's problematic is the following. A lot of viewers of this channel are dependents on their child's tax returns. So if you were a dependent on your child's tax return, under the first stimulus check, you were not eligible for a first stimulus check. I'll repeat that again. Under the first stimulus check, if you are listed as a dependent on your child's tax return or anyone's tax return, you would not get a first stimulus check. Under the second stimulus package, you will get a second stimulus check, even if you are on someone else's tax return as a dependent, up to 3 people. Second, the whole notion of joint tax returns is so darn complicated. And I'm not going to say that it's simple, because it's not. First, viewers have asked me, what if we're husband and wife and, together we make $79,000 last year? What happens under this Mitch McConnell thing? We just don't know. I mean, is Mitch McConnell going to say, okay, the joint filers, it's 80 and not 40? We just don't know. In the CARES Act back in March, what it did was it doubled the amount and doubled it for the income. So it basically said that the eligibility criterion, we will double it when it's a husband and wife, and we'll also double the check when it's from $1,200 to $2,400. That's what we do know. The good news is a second stimulus check is coming. The good news is that second stimulus check will be paid to SSDI, SSI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, because the White House, the Democrats, and the Republicans have all said everyone is getting a stimulus check who doesn't make a lot of money. So we now know that. What we don't know is the details. Mnuchin says we do support another round. Finally, there is this talk about the amount of the second stimulus package. What's really quite interesting is ultimately how much money is spent on second stimulus checks. I have gone over, and you know I've done this, that I've said, hey, McConnell wants a $1 trillion second stimulus package. The Democrats want a $3 trillion second stimulus package, and the White House want a $2 trillion second stimulus package. Ultimately, none of that really matters. You know why? Because it's how much of the second stimulus part of the package is being allocated. When we talk about $1 trillion, $3 trillion, and $2 trillion, we're not talking about just stimulus checks. We're talking about all these other things. Remember, for example, the aerospace industry, airlines like United and Delta, they were allocated $500 million or $500 billion. I mean, it's like an enormous sum of money back in the CARES Act 1. So a lot of those things aren't coming back. A lot of these big business payouts aren't coming back. So that makes the stimulus package, the second time around, smaller. Not because of your stimulus checks, but because of all that pork is gone. Whatever you want to refer to, I refer to as pork. So that's the good thing. Ultimately, the IRS, Mnuchin is concerned that 40% of households making less than $40,000 have lost their jobs this year. Well, you know, what's troubling is that there is a discussion from the White House that they don't perhaps want to extend unemployment, FPUC, that's $600 from the federal government. They don't want to extend it, but they want to give you a stimulus check, and they do want to add this, but they don't. Ultimately, what's important for you as a viewer of this channel to know is that I am here to discuss all the stimulus packages that impact you, that could be owed to you. And please, and I said this a few days ago, and a lot of people thanked me. It's so important. Please understand that when you have one stimulus package, it doesn't necessarily conflict with another. So the fact that you would get a second stimulus check does not mean you wouldn't get hazard pay, or the fact that you get a second stimulus check does not mean you wouldn't get unemployment assistance. One has nothing to do with the other. Coming up later today, we will be answering your second stimulus check questions from yesterday. It was a very popular video. Drop your comments, stay with us, and thank you as always for tuning in. As always, stay with LA for more.